You wrote about this concept in the piece. Can you talk to us just a little bit about it? It's this idea of Kalapani, which is like dark water, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so Kalapani is it's two things. It's a Hindu belief or kind of curse in a way. The idea is it's the opposite of travel broadens the mind. The further away you get from India, and particularly the Ganges, the more impure you're going to get. So it's a sort of it's almost it's making travel not quite forbidden, but it's sort of saying travel putrefies the mind. It'll make you sinful. Kalapani is also the name that's been given to the jail. I mean, because the islands are 2 hours off India, it became associated with the islands, and then it became associated with the jail that the Brits built where they housed all the freedom fighters. Because the Brits were so appalling, that became a sort of center of sin and bad behavior. So it resonates on these islands, and I thought that was just such an interesting and useful concept for this story, because it's the reverse of what we're told, right? We're told to go out in the world and experience it and educate ourselves. But what happened on these islands, as I say, was when foreign travelers arrived, is almost universally they behave terribly, and so that, you know, I thought that was really useful as an idea to kind of counter the idea of travel as a good thing. You know, travel can be a terrible thing, as you know, as my country proved, you know, more than any other. You know, we went around the world and messed it up.
Another thing that's really, that you return to that Kalapani in the end when you talk about this story of, I may mispronounce, but Anme or Enme and Pandya, Enme and Pandya. And you talk about kind of piercing the veil of the dark water. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, Enme's story is mind-blowing in so many ways. I mean, this is a kid who fell out of a tree, as was first supposed, broke his leg, was treated. So he's from a Jarua tribe. He was whisked away by the Indian administration, taken to a hospital in Port Blair, and kept there for 6 months. They fed him curry. They gave him Bollywood videos. The president of India came to visit. They showed him the modern world. Because the tribes and the Indian settlers were antagonistic, there was, you know, poison arrows coming out of the jungle every now and then. The idea was to send this kid back into the tribe as a kind of Trojan horse, and he would say to everybody, do you know, the outside world is great, and that would sort of pacify them. And initially, that's what happened. He went back after 6 months. Immediately, his tribe appeared on the road, started thumbing lifts into Port Blair. Everyone was told to let these guys walk around, take whatever they wanted. And, you know, the plan seemed to be working. And then the visits into town sort of petered out and stopped, and no one could really work out what had happened. And this is where the story just gets absolutely fascinating. This anthropologist that I spoken to who knew Enme, it took him years to find out what happened. But essentially, Enme hadn't broken his leg in the forest, as he'd said. He'd been nearly killed by the father of a girl that he fancied. And the father didn't like him as a potential suitor. So he'd broken his leg and thrown him out in the forest to die. When he went back to his tribe, kind of back from the dead, he was a celebrity. So he didn't marry the girl that he initially fancied. He married the prettiest girl in all the islands. And the moment he sealed that deal, moved deep into the jungle and started a family. Stopped guiding all the trips into Port Blair. So the anthropologist is telling me this story, and he's like, you know, I've been studying these guys for 20 years, and it's all about the differences between us and them. And he goes, and how wrong could I have been? Look at this kid. He walks across a gap of 10,000 years, no problem at all. He deals with our world so well that actually he ends up manipulating all of us, including the president of India and his own tribe, to get the top girl on the island. And once he achieves his own selfish aim, it ends, you know. I mean, and so he goes, it's not the differences between us, it's the similarities. And to me, that, you know, for him, that was an epiphany. And for me too, because I'd been pursuing an interview with a Stone Age caveman. And here is a normal, complicated, selfish, ambitious schemer making his way in the world in the same sort of messy fashion of the rest of us. He's a modern man. And I suddenly realized that I'm pursuing a phantom. And actually, that's what John was doing as well. But I guess the difference between us was I got to realize that.
Yeah.